Shaun Livingston is a Golden State Warrior for life, a champion several times over, forever. Livingston became a Warrior in 2014 and quickly established himself as a key cog in the Golden State dynasty, a reliable bench presence on a team that made 5 consecutive NBA Finals, winning 3 of them before Livingston retired in 2019. Livingston's calm demeanor and hyper-intelligent passing kept flow alive in the second unit. His proclivity for mid-range jumpers presented a deadly changeup from Golden State's three-point barrage. The dude had some big moments on some very big stages. The Warriors wouldn't have been the Warriors without Shaun Livingston. That 5-year stretch of glory makes the final chapter of Livingston's playing career nearly unprecedented. He's only added to that glory as a member of the Warriors' front office. And if you know anything about Shaun Livingston, you recognize the beauty in this outcome. Livingston's legacy could have been pure tragedy. As a young rising star with the Los Angeles Clippers, he suffered one of the most devastating knee injuries in sports history. In 2007, Livingston wasn't sure he'd be able to walk normally again, let alone play winning basketball. To really appreciate Livingston's story, it helps to understand who he was before the injury and who he had to become before a rising dynasty would claim him. Let's meet these versions of Shaun Livingston in the Prism. Start here. Shaun Livingston entered the 2004 NBA draft straight out of high school. So did a lot of people, but Livingston stood out. Livingston's choice to bail on his commitment to Duke and enter the draft presented some novelty. With notable exceptions, prep-to-pro prospects tended to be dominant power forwards and centers. You can't teach height, they say. To the extent that non-enormous high schoolers made the leap to the NBA, they tended to be pure scorers. Livingston fit neither of those categories. He was only a couple inches shorter than Dwight Howard, but so much lankier, and he played a vastly different game. Definitely not a big man. And Livingston could score, but he definitely wasn't a pure shooting guard like J.R. Smith. When the Clippers picked him 4th in that 2004 draft, many called the 6'7" Livingston the first ever point guard to go straight from high school to the draft lottery. First or not, Livingston had court vision. This is Livingston as a 7th grader in Peoria, Illinois, one of the biggest players on the floor, but clearly the point guard. You don't see a lot of tall 12 and 13-year-olds making this no-look pocket pass to a cutter, or throwing this bullet of an entry pass for an assist. Livingston won 2 Illinois state titles in junior high and then kept filling the trophy case in high school. Livingston grew to 6'7", but kept running point. He read the floor, managed the game, and kept everyone involved. That ability to create for others is the other thing you supposedly can't teach. Livingston possessed the kind of timing, dexterity, and spidey sense they say you're either born with or without. Upon drafting Livingston in 2004, Clippers GM and NBA great Elgin Baylor made the obvious but lofty comparison to the greatest tall, pure point guard ever. And if the opinion of an LA Lakers legend wasn't enough, here was Clippers head coach Mike Dunleavy, who once coached Magic Johnson, seconding the comparison. Shaun Livingston was supposed to be the LA Clippers point guard of the future. Their Magic. Put aside being the next Magic. Just being the future of the LA Clippers was a heavy label to wear in 2004. Before Blake Griffin and Lob City and the Super Team era, the Clippers were long-standing losers, the Lakers' stinky little sibling. And the players they'd acquired over the years in hopes of turning things around kept falling apart. Looking back, Livingston is one of many who suggests the Clippers were cursed by franchise owner Donald Sterling being such a piece of shit. No argument here, and Livingston is obviously referring in his own case to the horrible injury that ended his Clippers tenure 3 years after they drafted him. But here's the thing. Before the big one, Livingston overcame prior, smaller flare-ups of the supposed Clipper curse. 11 games into his Clipper career, the rookie Livingston had already registered some exciting performances off the bench. Then, he dislocated his right kneecap in practice. After sitting 3 months to heal his knee, Livingston finally returned in February 2005 and tore cartilage in his shoulder. It was enough for media observers to at least wonder if the Clippers regretted another cursed draft choice. Shaun missed another month of his rookie year. Only after all that rehab did Livingston string some games together. He got to start at point guard and posted some tantalizing masterpieces in April 2005. Here he was approaching quadruple-double territory against the Bobcats and hitting the buzzer-beating shot to win the game. So Livingston entered his sophomore year with some momentum, only to suffer another injury, this time his back. It cost him the first 21 games of that season. By this point, LA had seen enough to enlist insurance. Veteran point guard Sam Cassell. Cassell helped his new team get off to an unusually hot start in Livingston's absence. The Clippers looked different, hopeful. The only sign of what J.A. Adonde called the Clippers' customary black cloud was, oh man. By the time Livingston finally debuted that season, he had no prayer of reclaiming the starting point guard spot on a team leading the Pacific Division. Livingston became Cassell's apprentice. He watched firsthand how a 36-year-old whose body wasn't what it used to be could still control the game. On the floor, Livingston played some minutes as Cassell's backup at point and some as Cassell's running mate, off the ball, a secondary creator, a finisher, a versatile defender. That marked a meaningful shift for a kid who had been billed as the next Magic. And yes, this is all foreshadowing, but first let's bask in the spring of 2006. Wonderful times. After missing those first 21 games, Livingston played the final 61 without interruption. Shaun was a great understudy, and when Cassell sat out, he hopped right into the driver's seat. Livingston outplayed Steve Nash to beat the excellent Phoenix Suns on the road in April. The 2006 Clippers won 47 games and a playoff series. The franchise hadn't done those things since the mid-70s when they were the Buffalo Braves. Livingston factored heavily into the playoff success. His minutes increased steadily through the first 3 games of LA's first-round series against Carmelo Anthony and the Denver Nuggets. In a pivotal Game 4 victory, Livingston played so splendidly off the bench that Cassell declined to return to the game, preferring to just let Shaun keep cooking. 16, 6, and 6 is a well-cooked line indeed, enough to draw a comment from Clippers star Elton Brand. In Game 5, Cassell again watched his understudy use the lion's share of minutes. Livingston set a new Clippers playoff assist record with 14 dimes, piloting LA's first closeout victory since 1976. They fell in the next round, but things were looking up, for the franchise and for Shaun. After previously appearing doomed by the Clippers' curse, Livingston was back on the path to stardom. We know how that turned out. In 2006-07, Livingston played 54 more games. He set a new career high for assists on February 24, 2007. On February 26th, Livingston planted his foot wrong and tore just about everything in his left knee. I recommend never watching video of that injury. Adonde called it the most heartbreaking scene since Bambi's mother got shot. The Clippers' curse, it seemed, finally got Shaun. His description of the injury, the trip to the hospital, and the months upon months of rehab is harrowing, genuinely. Livingston missed the rest of the 2007 season and all of the 2008 season healing and rehabbing. LA let Shaun's rookie contract expire and didn't give him a new one. So Livingston's Clippers stint will always be remembered for its horrible conclusion. But don't forget this moment. Shaun overcame obstacles, adjusted his game, and made history. He was just starting to validate some of that next magic stuff before the bottom fell out. So that's the part before. What about after? How do you get from relearning how to walk to winning a fistful of championship rings? Again, it's not a straight upward line from LA to Golden State. In between, Livingston played for 7 teams in 6 years. Miami gave Livingston his first chance to re-find his legs. The opportunity ended quickly. Livingston did a stint in the Development League, then joined the OKC Thunder for the rest of the 2009 season. If anything can make you realize you need to adjust your game, it's running with those youngsters. Russell Westbrook calling you old school when you're 24. The OKC gig ended pretty quickly too. For a period of months, well into the 2010 season, Shaun had to consider that his career might be over. Then, a couple Washington Wizards decided to bring guns into the locker room. That bizarre scandal meant Washington suddenly needed mid-season backcourt help. A Wizards assistant by the name of, Sam Cassell, suggested they give Shaun a call. 10-day deals turned into a rest-of-the-season contract. Coach Flip Saunders made Livingston his point guard, and Shaun used those final few weeks of an otherwise dreadful Wizards season to hone a new version of his heady pass-first game. Livingston still gives the late Saunders a ton of credit for helping him and the rest of the league realize the potential he still had. In 2010 free agency, Livingston got a guaranteed contract from the Charlotte Bobcats. That marked a real comeback. But a bit of financial security didn't mean a steady role. Livingston found himself passed from one bad team to another. Traded, waived, signed, traded again for years. Observers seem to accept that transience as Shaun's NBA fate, although not with derision. The fact that he's had a career at all is remarkable. Maybe he just wasn't good enough post-injury to stick somewhere. Or maybe he needed a good, stable team to give him a real chance. In the meantime, Livingston remained a journeyman without a real home. We know he would find home in the Golden State dynasty, but the Warriors might not have envisioned this Shaun Livingston without watching this one. Brooklyn came first. In the summer of 2013, the Brooklyn Nets made a push. Brand name stars, brand name coach. It was ill-fated, but for Shaun's purposes, it was perfect. To fill out that stuffed roster, Coach Jason Kidd wanted a big, heady second point guard, someone to fill the role Kidd himself played in his twilight, aka like 3 months prior. Shaun played a career-high 76 games for the Nets in 13-14, rising from bench to the starting unit. Not as the point guard, but in that familiar utility role beside Deron Williams. Livingston finally enjoyed some consistency, the best to date, and he made it count. In February, Livingston busted out 24 points against the Pacers, the second highest scoring performance of his career. And this quadruple-double adjacent line a couple days later is even closer to vintage Shaun. Livingston played playoff ball for the first time in 8 years, starting 5 of 7 games in Brooklyn's upset of the Toronto Raptors. He hit the clutch free throws that sealed the series victory. He guarded multiple positions in the next round against the Heat. That was enough for Golden State to swoop in, trump all other offers, and make Livingston one of the final pieces in what would become a multi-championship puzzle. It was a long time coming. Shaun Livingston's injury stopped him short of becoming the next Magic Johnson. Livingston's contributions to a dynasty ensured that injury wouldn't define him. That comeback makes Livingston's legacy a triumph. These parts in between only enrich his one-of-a-kind NBA story. Thank you so much for watching Prism. If you want to learn more about the legacies of some other interesting NBA players, take a click here or here. That's it. Bye.